Okay, so we're diving deep into this whole gaming cybernation thing.
Right, yeah.
Um, you share this article with me,
Mhm.
Star Atlas, building a gaming cybernation from the ground up.
Yeah,
And it's pretty mind-blowing stuff.
it is.
This was written by the Star Atlas team back in April 2025.
That's right.
So really what we're trying to do here is unpack what that even means.
Yeah,
Because they're talking about a game that's not just a game.
right.
It's like a living galaxy, a digital nation.
A whole persistent world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the big question for us is, can a game actually become that immersive and self-sustaining?
That's the million-dollar question,
Mm.
right? I mean, this article, it's not just talking about another game.
Right.
This is a vision for a digital world
Yeah.
where players are shaping things.
Right.
They're not just playing through a story that's already written.
Yeah. And it's interesting because they use that term gaming cybernation.
Yeah.
And they're talking about a galaxy spanning over 50 star systems.
It's a massive scale.
It's massive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing that they keep emphasizing is this living, breathing world aspect.
It has to feel real.
Right. So what does that actually mean for someone who jumps into Star Atlas?
Okay, so think about it this way.
Okay.
In most games, you're on a path.
Mm-hmm.
You're completing quests that the developers have designed.
Right.
But here, your actions
Yeah.
can actually have real consequences
Yay.
in the game's ecosystem.
Interesting.
So let's say you decide, I'm going to focus on mining this one resource in this star system.
Okay.
That could impact the availability and price of that resource in the local markets.
Wow.
Or if a bunch of players get together
Mm-hmm.
and they form a powerful faction,
Yeah.
their political decisions could actually change the balance of power
The cross system.
across multiple star systems.
That's wild.
It's going from a curated experience to one that's really dynamic and player-driven.
So it's not just like you're playing the game, you're kind of creating the game as you go.
Exactly.
Yeah. They talk about factions, which
Mm.
we've seen before in MMOs.
Right.
It's a way for players to align themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
But then they introduce this whole concept of DAOs,
Right.
decentralized autonomous organizations, as like the next level.
The next level of organization.
So how do those actually change the game?
That's where the blockchain part really comes in.
Okay.
Because traditional guilds, they're usually managed by a few players
Right.
operating within the rules that the company set up.
Mm.
But a DAO uses blockchain to set its rules
Oh, interesting.
and its decision-making processes in code.
Okay.
So instead of just a few leaders at the top making all the calls,
Yeah.
token holders, the players who have a stake in the DAO,
Mm.
they can propose and vote on changes.
So it's much more democratic.
It's way more democratic.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that could be anything from how the DAO invests its resources to even suggesting changes to the game rules.
Wow.
So it gives players a lot more control over their communities and their impact on the world.
So it's not just about playing the game, it's about potentially governing a piece of it.
It is. It's about having real ownership.
And blockchain is the foundation for all of that, right?
It is, yeah.
Securing transactions, tracking movements, proving ownership of assets.
Absolutely.
It sounds like it's not just a feature, it's really core to the whole thing.
It's fundamental to this whole idea of a decentralized economy.
Yeah.
So when a player mines an asteroid and trades those resources,
Mm-hmm.
that transaction can be recorded on the blockchain.
Right. Okay.
And it provides a secure and verifiable record of everything.
So it's really about this idea of true ownership.
It is, and that's where NFTs come in.
NFTs, yeah.
Non-fungible tokens.
Okay.
Unlike traditional in-game items that just exist in the game's database,
Mhm.
these NFTs can potentially have value outside of the game.
So there's a connection to the real world.
Yeah, it creates this more tangible link between what you do in the game and real-world value.
It's really fascinating.
It is, yeah.
It's a huge shift from how we normally think about games.
For sure.
And the article even acknowledges the risks involved.
Right.
They talk about bleeding-edge technology
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that things might not go exactly as planned.
Yeah, there are always challenges with new tech.
And they contrast that with the traditional path of sequels and incremental improvements in games.
It's a different approach.
It is, and they call it 0-to-1 ambition,
Yeah, building something completely new.
which is exciting,
It is exciting.
but also a little daunting.
It can be a little daunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's zoom in on this decentralized economy powered by blockchain.
Okay.
We get the example of mining and trading,
Mm-hmm.
but how is that fundamentally different from a regular in-game economy?
Mm-hmm.
What makes the blockchain piece so crucial?
I think the biggest difference is in that idea of real digital ownership
Okay.
and the openness of the system.
Mm,
So in a normal game, the developers, they have all the control.
right.
They can introduce new items, change drop rates.
Hmm.
They can even wipe out player inventory.
Yeah. Yeah, basically they could do whatever they want.
Pretty much.
But with blockchain-based assets, that ownership, it's recorded on a public ledger.
Right. And that gives players a lot more control and security.
And they mentioned that economists are involved,
Oh, yeah.
which I thought was really fascinating.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you have a player-driven economy,
Mm-hmm.
you have to worry about inflation, you have to worry about supply chains.
Yeah, it gets really complicated to
That's
keep things fair
Right.
and make sure that it's a level playing field.
Absolutely. And I think the blockchain helps with that
Yeah.
because it provides a transparent and auditable foundation.
Right.
So it's more trustworthy than a closed, centralized system.
And we've seen examples, right,
Yeah, we have.
of virtual economies even in games without blockchain
Mm-hmm.
that have struggled with manipulation or they've just collapsed.
Right.
So the transparency of blockchain could be a solution to that.
It could be a real game changer.
Now, the visuals in this game also sound incredible.
They-
Built on Unreal Engine 5,
Mm-hmm.
they're creating their own unique assets tied to this really deep lore.
It's a rich world they're building.
It is, and again, that massive scale of over 50 star systems.
It's an ambitious project.
It is, but it's not just about eye candy, right?
No, of course not.
The gameplay has to be there too.
Absolutely, the gameplay has to hold up.
Yeah.
And they talk about specific gameplay loops,
Okay.
like high-fidelity gunplay and racing.
Okay, so there are different ways to play.
Yeah, it seems like they want to offer a multifaceted experience where
Right.
you can do a bunch of different things.
That are both visually impressive and also mechanically sound.
Exactly.
They mentioned nanobot materialization effects
Mm-hmm.
and the whiz of bullets.
Yeah, they're really focusing on that immersive experience.
So it sounds like they're not skimping on the moment-to-moment gameplay.
Yeah, they're trying to match the ambition of the metaverse
Right.
with really engaging core mechanics.
Not just relying on fancy graphics to hide outdated technology.
Exactly.
Now, the political system is where things get really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
They talk about the vision for full player governance down the line.
Full community control.
Yeah, and it starts with the Polis token and the on-chain DAO,
Mm-hmm.
where players can actually vote on improvements.
It gives them a real voice.
But the ultimate goal is community control over things like economic policies and even galaxy-wide laws.
It's a big idea, right?
It is. It sounds like they're handing over a lot of power.
Yeah, it's a long-term aspiration.
Right.
And the article points out that it's going to be a gradual process.
Yeah, you can't just flip a switch and have a fully functional player-run digital nation.
Right, it takes time to build trust and get things right.
Yeah, but that current DAO structure is an important first step.
It is.
It lets the community have a say in how the ecosystem develops.
Exactly.
And the idea of actual in-game political systems where player-formed DAOs
Mm-hmm.
can influence the destiny of star systems through governance
Wow.
by setting laws and taxation.
That's a powerful concept.
It's giving players a level of agency that we haven't really seen before.
It's unprecedented.
But it also raises questions, right?
It does.
Like, how will those systems actually evolve?
Mm-hmm.
And how will they handle conflicts of interest as the Cybernation grows?
Those are big questions.
And it's not just about building this world internally.
Right.
They also talk about strategic partnerships.
Yeah, they want to build an inclusive future.
Yeah, and they specifically mentioned Shaga.
Oh, for their cloud gaming solution?
Right.
That's huge for accessibility.
Yeah, it seems like they're thinking about that from the start.
They are, and that's smart because for a project this ambitious,
Mm-hmm.
you need to be able to reach a lot of people.
Right.
And not everyone has a high-end gaming PC.
So by partnering with cloud gaming services,
Yeah.
they're trying to make it so that anyone can participate.
Exactly. That's the goal.
And it's not just about players either.
Right.
They're encouraging community builders to get involved,
Yeah.
to create their own programs and businesses within the Star Atlas framework.
It's about building a whole ecosystem.
Yeah, they're saying, here are the tools.
Yeah.
Go build what you can imagine.
It's like the early days of the internet,
Right.
where open protocols led to this explosion of creativity.
That's the potential here.
It is, yeah.
And the article ends with this powerful call to join the revolution.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying it's not just a game, it's a chance to be part of something bigger.
A chance to build a new world.
And they ask, the stars are calling, will you answer?
That's a good line.
It really is.
It sticks with you.
It does.
Yeah.
And then they have this about Star Atlas summary
Right.
that brings everything together.
hmm
They talk about the immersive space adventure, the grand strategy MMO aspect.
It's a lot of things rolled into one.
It is, yeah. Unreal Engine 5 visuals,
Amazing
a
graphic.
real galactic marketplace on the Solana blockchain.
Yeah, they're really serious about that blockchain integration.
And they emphasize full decentralization, player ownership,
Putting the power in the hands of the players.
and all the core activities like exploring, building, mining, and conquering.
There's something for everyone.
Right. And they also point people to their website, the Sage Labs browser game, as a starting point.
Oh, that's cool.
The Unreal Engine game on the Epic Games Store and all their community channels.
It's a great way to wrap things up.
It is. It's a very comprehensive overview.
It is, yeah.
So for you listening, the big takeaway here is that Star Atlas,
hmm
it's not just another space game.
No,
It's something completely different.
right.
It's a project with incredibly ambitious goals.
Yeah, to build a truly decentralized, player-driven gaming cybernation.
And that ambition leads to a really interesting question
Okay.
for you to consider.
hmm
They're putting so much economic and political power into the hands of players.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for how we think about digital ownership?
It's a big question.
It is.
And the future of online communities.
Right, because as these virtual worlds become more complex and they start to connect with our real lives in new ways,
Mhm.
how will our understanding of value and governance change in these digital spaces?
That's something to think about.
It is. It's a fascinating frontier to explore.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.